Hello my friends, good evening. Kicking off the stream. So, we're here, we're live. Tech seems to be working. It's awesome, it's so awesome. So, welcome the Slayer, welcome Porphyrius, Tutankhamun, G-Forces, and Evo Clark for the first time chatting here on the channel. Hey! Porphyrius is not here. So you might see that I have made all of the Discord moderators also moderators here on Twitch, and we have a new moderator. So Mr. Nice Guy also volunteered to become a moderator, which is nice. Nice of Mr. Nice Guy. And we're gonna be doing a review, or not exactly a review, but an unboxing and first test print. So I'm gonna kick it off in a couple of seconds. Just want to welcome everyone, give everyone a chance to tune into the stream. On the other hand, we're also, I just want to remind you that we just started a new giveaway, so that's also going to be in the chat, at least a Twitch chat. If you enter !! giveaway, that's what we're currently running. Announced it recently. We're giving away an Atom Stack A5 Pro laser engraver this month. So we're gonna also do the giveaway stream a little bit earlier than last time. We're gonna do it on the 22nd of May, not the last week exactly, as I originally wanted it to do, but I am going to be off in that week for most part. Super busy in that week, so I don't have time to stream. So we're gonna do it on the 22nd Wednesday of May. We're gonna do the giveaway, and all of the rules and how it works are in that link. And it only works if you are watching from Twitch. So you have a couple of streams until we do the final giveaway, and you will understand that how it works. So it's gonna be depending on how long you're watching on YouTube and on Twitch. No, sorry, it depends how much you watch on Twitch. We're going to collect nozzles, which are our virtual loyalty points, and you can spend them on giveaways that we do. And this is the giveaway that we are doing. So I think since we're done with Tech Check, everyone's settling in. 14 people watching on YouTube and 8 people watching on Twitch. I will hopefully not miss any subscriptions, not any followers. If I did, please remind me, have all of the necessary windows open to see if people are subscribing on Twitch, which I totally appreciate. I want to thank you everyone. Super appreciate it if you subscribe on Twitch to support the channel. The wall behind you needs a Crosslink logo. Yeah, that's definitely one of the things. I wanted to show you one thing before we start. Maybe I can show it to you. Just wondering how to show it to you because it's pretty far away. But yeah, let's do that. So we have this printer here, which you've probably seen in the logo. But look there. See what you see there? We have a hammer holder finally printed for the tool wall. So yeah, totally we need to add some logo to the background. Yeah, one next projects is definitely printing a logo and figuring out how to do some light effects or something like that with LEDs. So that is the box. This is the Ender V3. Interesting enough. Yeah, thank you, Dahu's Cat, for following on Twitch. This is the 3D printer. The box has been sent to me by Creality. So thank you, Creality, for sending this for free. As always, this is going to be an independent opinion. And in this video, we're going to unbox this printer and see how quickly we can set it up. We're going to talk about the specs of this printer a little bit. Don't want to bore you to death about specifications. The most interesting part about this printer apparently is the new look. And as a second, the CoreXZ mechanism that's driving the tool head. I'm super curious at how this is going to be different, how this is going to work. And so without any further delay, we're going to kick off the unboxing. And I want to thanks again, MakerMind Nexus, for joining. Hello, hello. And we'll see how this is going to be turning out in the end. If this thing is going to successfully run tonight. Hopefully you also can see the top view. We have it here. Interesting enough, we have a different... Why is the color so off on this camera there? Maybe... Yeah, I don't want to fix it right now. It's strange, right? So we have two different... Like we have two exact identical cameras here in the studio and they still show the box in a different color. It's a little bit off. White balance, but nevertheless, let's unbox this printer. Let's take a look inside. And we did not yet open this box. It's really completely fresh, and we'll get this printer up and running. Maybe start yourself a stopwatch how long it will take until we get this printer into printing mode and getting some first result out of this device. So what is in the box? Probably want to get a little bit closer here with the overhead view. So of course we have some kind of installation guide. I'm going to take a look in a second what they tell us about setting up this printer. So for everyone who is interested how easy this setup works, we're going to definitely take a look here in the instructions, because honestly, the more experienced people here in the audience will probably not have that kind of an issue setting up the printer even without a manual, but I always try to be as true as possible to the beginner experience, and so let's do that. What do we get here is a couple of steps here. We could use the Creality Cloud app and scan this code to install the app. We will use the app later to remote control and monitor the printer. Then we can also use the website, and there's a USB stick. So now we'll take a look on the USB stick later. We have a parts list here. Interesting to get to know upfront what we are actually looking at here, what the printer is made of. There's a base, of course. This is the base component that has the print bed and the electronics. We have a gantry frame, which is the whole thing that's also having this CoreXZ mechanism, touchscreen, filament holder, printer cable, so power cable apparently, anti-tangle material rack. I'm interested what this is. Some tools here, and then we're going right into the setup steps of this printer. So what I want to do before we put this thing together, take everything out of the box first and put it on the table, so get rid of this huge foamy box, because that is nothing but in our... We don't have that much space, honestly, to keep this box on the table. So we're going to get everything out. Of course, the usual filament sample, I'm not going to use that, of course, because it's pointless, honestly. I think it's just for people that really do not have any filament yet when they buy this printer, but the first recommendation is really get some filament. Get some good filament when you buy such a printer. because this is going to last you, I don't know, this is going to last you half a day, and then you basically are running out of filament, and it's not even some kind of exciting color. Honestly, it's just white. So why would you want to use that? And yeah, let's see what else we have here. This seems to be the screen. We're gonna unbox that in a second. Hammer that box open. Oh, please not hammer. Please not using the hammer. I think the hammer would be very unfortunate. Filament spool holder. Actually, I didn't take a closer look yet here. This is from plastic. New thing actually, because it was made from metal previously, but the metal version was kind of, didn't like that metal version so much, but this might also work. And the way how it usually works, you have this, yeah, screw-in filament spool holder. The good thing, I don't like this too much because it's like okay-ish. It's okay-ish, but there is now so many modifications available on printable, Thingiverse and everywhere where these mods use this exact connector. So you can easily create some custom version of this that for longer spools and also wider spools, and also that have bearings. This is good for the beginning, but you probably at some point, if you print more, you probably want to get yourself an upgrade, but you can still keep the arm and probably just replace this part by something that you create or modify yourself. Let's see. I was just thinking, is the print head separate? Now it's not, because it's just a pass-through hole here in this foam, so that's good. I was just for a second worried if the print head is to be mounted manually, which is obviously not. Here we have some kind of, I think this was in the manual, was called filament tangle protector. We'll see what this does. I have no idea, honestly, what this is supposed to do. So, read the fucking manual, yeah. So we have the power cable. So then we can probably just remove most of this packaging foam and get the frame, the gantry out carefully. We'll see, this is one huge element. I'm not sure if it's connected. No, there's no cables holding this to the printer frame, so we will connect the cables in the next step. But you see already, this looks much different from anything that you have seen probably from the Ender series so far. Even the latest Ender 3 V3 KE has still this kind of extrusion looking frame. Now this is really looking more like a complete one-piece metal frame. The interesting part though is happening here on this other side, where we have this CoreXZ mechanism, and we probably should take a look now, because this is actually easier to do from this perspective. You have these belts running around this extrusion now, which is what makes this printer so much different, right? So this is the new way how to move the print head. It has basically two motors that are driving these belts, and so they can push the tool head either horizontally or vertically or in both directions at the same time. And because we have two motors running this, the idea is that we have also both motors driving the tool head in this direction from left to right with like more power, and so essentially having more more power to push the print head faster. I think that's what the thing is all about, and we'll see if that really makes such a huge difference. We also have a filament sensor right here, and probably we're gonna connect the PTFE tube here from this filament sensor to the print head in a later step. So let's take this out for a second, like it here on the table, and get the rest of the printer out of the box, and then we'll continue looking at the manual and figuring out how this is all put together. So I think nothing else except the base is here in this part of the box. Hardest part is to grab it somewhere and get it out. And yeah, that wasn't too hard here. So this is the base, which is essentially having all of the electronics in the bottom, and power supply is in the bottom. Everything is included here, and a removable print bed with a magnetic base and a PI sheet. So let's get rid of the box. I guess we have everything out. So we can clean up the table a bit from all of this packaging stuff first before we start building. So keep your stopwatches running because I want to really understand how fast we could theoretically put this together. And even while I'm talking doesn't really mean too much because you will probably spend a couple of seconds more reading the manual anyways. So as a next step here, actually they're installing the filament spool holder as one of the first steps on this gantry, which is interesting, but maybe it's just easier. So let's follow the manual as it is written, so we can understand what we need to do. So I guess we need to look in this little box here to figure out if we need any of the tools, which I probably don't need, because usually I prefer to use my own screwdrivers instead of these hex drivers that come with printers. So I'm gonna get the most likely used screwdrivers ready here. My favorite ones, ball head screwdrivers. And we have a package of screws that we're probably gonna use in a second. And the rest very much looks like the default stuff. A USB stick, some metal grease for maintenance, some zip ties, probably want to fix some of the cables at some point, and we have some other tools here like screwdrivers, hex drivers, and one for replacing the nozzle, which is appreciated because you might want to replace the nozzle at some point, or you want to upgrade to a bigger one. One of the questions that I also have for tonight is really what kind of nozzle this printer has, because I have a couple of upright nozzles here from Creality. A high flow nozzle kit, so that is something that definitely want to test out with the KE and also the V3 to test out different nozzles from Creality with bigger diameters. So we can hopefully test that out at some point. Probably not tonight yet, but at a later stage. So we're doing the gantry frame. They want us to attach the spool holder. So let's figure out how they want this to be. Should be pointing in this direction. And it's just a slide on. Seems at least that we just have to slide it over these screws. I'm wondering why we have to do this now, because we could also do this later, honestly. So let's move the tool head and this foam piece we also don't want to keep here. What you see, this is how the tool head moving on the gantry. Is there any packaging foam left here? Any stickers, any tape? Seems not. What else are we supposed to prepare with the spool holder? Yeah, I think I'm gonna finally assemble this later. I don't see the point, like, why would we have that here at the moment? It's just getting in the way, I'm asking. So one of the most important checks to do now. First of all, what's going on in the chat? So hammer time. If you wanna send the hammer to the chat, you can also don't forget we have emotes now. We can use :Daniel, and then you can find all the emotes that we're currently having. And if you want us to create new emotes, please let me know what kind of emotes you would see. Probably need to do more emotes around 3D printing topics. I just started to make some emotes that came to my mind, but if you want to encourage me to do other emotes. Please let me know what kind of emotes you want to see here. So, and I'm happy to do though. So one of the most important checks, and we don't want to skip that, is to check the voltage, right? The main power voltage. We want to check whether it is correctly set to 220 for Germany. And if you're in the US, of course, you want to set it to 110. And the switch is here on the side of the printer. Hopefully easy enough to read. No, it's not so easy, but we probably can use the flashlight here. Quickly see where this is currently put. And it is on 220. That's at least what I can read here. And yeah, it should be pushed to the side where we can read the correct voltage. You can't see that now, but it's on 220. Yeah, but it's super important to check this so we don't make a huge mistake. Again, I said this last time, if we are running this printer in the US and it would have been set to 220, it's not a big deal. It would just make some weird, probably would cause some issues running into errors because of under voltage. But in Germany, if we would have it on to 110, would be a huge problem, because then we would definitely likely destroy the power supply. So here we go with the first screws that we need to do. And we are securing the frame or the gantry on the both on this bottom part. How many screws do we need? Probably, I think it's 4. Or is it 8 screws? Let's see. Interesting enough, what they mention in the manual, super important. If we don't do the voltage check before we assemble the frame, we cannot actually reach that switch anymore because it's covered by the frame. So that's super important to know. If we assemble the frame, this little slot here is gonna be not accessible anymore. And this is also written on this little sticker here. Please ensure the power supply switch position before you assemble the frame. So super important notice here. So how is this coming together? I'm going to push down this frame. I'm going to take the cables out of the way first. Move this a bit closer to this side. So just simply setting this down. Hopefully this is easy enough. Is it? Don't want to scratch something. Okay, so slides into place. So see this from here. We have basically the frame is just sliding in these little slots here, in these U-shaped slots. It's not exactly a slot, it's just a cavity in the base frame. So easy enough to position it, so you don't have to like align something. It's still like not fixed yet, but the only thing now to do is really to secure this into this position, and it's hopefully gonna be straight once we tighten the screws. How many do we need? It seems that we are, how many, my friends from Creality? This is actually not so easy to understand. If I look at the manual, this is at least I see 4 that are supposed to come from the front. So this is clear. Let's get the right screwdriver. So we have 4 screws here from this side. And we're not going to tighten them finally. We're just going to put them in before we tighten up everything finally. Just want to figure out where the other 4 are going. So we have, like, on each side we have 2 from the front. But we are supposed to use actually 8 screws. So I'm just trying to understand where they are going. yeah, 4 for. And from the bottom, we also would do from the bottom the rest. Okay, that makes sense. So we're gonna check out, are they all the same actually? These all the same screws, types and sizes and lengths, yes. So just to be sure that we're not making a huge mistake here. So we'll start here by the vertical ones. The horizontal screws or front screws on both ends, and then we're going to take a look at the bottom, how this works. So here we have 4 more positions where we want to put screws in. It's time for screws. You see, I don't want to fix it yet completely because we could probably use some wiggle here to get the screws in completely straight. I hope so, at least. The last thing that I want to do is destroy the thread. And so I want to give it a little bit of freedom to move before we finally tighten everything up. However, maybe, not sure if we, now it's straight. It seems to be working. So still a little bit of wiggle here. Let's get all of the screws in before we tighten all of them up first. So I have using the plate that we have here. And not so easy to get them in. So we probably need the L-shaped wrench to tighten, at least to get them in completely is probably easier to do. And last but not least, on this other side. Come on, my friends. What's going on in chat? We need a benchy emote. Oh yeah, that's definitely, that's for sure. We should create a benchy emote. On my list. Okay. Definitely, we need. So print bed size 220 to 2250. So standard. Yeah, it's nothing so different. Let me. So, excuse me. That, yeah, the standard size. So nothing so much different than the usual, say. What I'm going to do now first, I'm gonna like tighten up this bottom screws a bit to get them in completely. Interesting enough, these two sides are a little bit more tight, harder to get in than the opposite ones. Hope this is not going to be an issue. The most important part is we want everything to be straight, right? We don't want to have any weird angles in the printer frame. We want to be squared, and that's the most important thing. We have cables here, so I'm going to put it on the cables. So tightening up these front screws. Seems to be Gucci. Okay. So frame looks straight to me. All right, so from that perspective, I think we're good to go with the next part in this assembly manual. So what do we do? We are still on this page here. We assembled the vertical frame. Now already moving to the touchscreen installation. So it's not that many steps actually. It's really just getting your frame down, putting the screws in, switch position, filament holder, screen installation. Not so many steps actually. That's really nice. Taking this out. It has a touch screen, yes. Here's the touch screen. Here you go. Look at the touch screen. Gonna turn it on in a sec. Like, we're gonna power up the printer soon so we can see the touch screen. And can it print a sub 15-minute Banshee? Super good question. I'm gonna take off this little protective film. It's always like, oh, this is so satisfying. We have one cable here that's still taped to the printer frame in the front. So we basically just released this piece of sticker at the front to have this cable, give this cable a little more freedom. First thing to do here is to carefully align this plug here with the backside of the LCD. Like, there's not much play here, so we don't have that much cable that we can pull out, so you shouldn't pull out too much. We have to really align it. That's probably one of the harder parts here, and we could use pliers if we don't make it. If your fingers are too thick, we could use some pliers and carefully align this with the plug, so we're not gonna bend it or destroy anything. And then we'll carefully push this plug into the slot. And again, aligning it is the hardest part. So we want to be careful here. Pushing it in, it really just needs better. Do it with 2 fingers. All right, so let's see. See here, we use 2 fingers and then push this plug in the slot until we hear the clicking. So there's 2 little wings here that are securing this. And if you want to take the cable off, you press these 2 wings in, these little levers, calls this, and then you can take out the cable again. Now, last step here is simply aligning this with the back and then pushing it, just pushing it down. There's not much, there's no click to confirm, but it's just not moving anymore. You can get it up by just pulling it up and taking it off. So this is how it assembles. That's here. That's explained here. We did the cable. We carefully pushed it in the plug, or the plug into the slot, and then we pushed the screen in these slots and pushed it down. We shouldn't power up this machine for sure. Then the next step is, I think we are on step 3.4, equipment wiring. So we are connecting all of the missing cables, basically the tool head cable, the motor cables, and also the PTFE. So let's do it one by one. Let's start the filament detection line. I think this should be called cable, right? It's filament detection cable. So let's turn this printer around so we can see what is going on. So we have one plug here on the side of this filament sensor, and there's one cable coming out of this frame, which has 2 connectors. One is a longer cable, and somewhere in the middle of this cable there's another connector coming out of this tube, and that's the sensor cable. So I want to insert the sensor cable now. And then with the longer end, that's going into the tool head, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So we're going to push that into, and then we have a little place here which we can use to secure the cable. There's 2 holes here, and there's going to be a clamp that's going to make sure that this cable is not dangling around on tool head. So I think I saw this. This is in one of the little plastic bags. Where was this? Here. And seems that, yeah, question is, do we need screws for this? No, we're gonna use zip ties. Okay, we're gonna use zip ties. We're not gonna use this part here apparently, or are we going to use this little plastic piece? I'm not sure. Secure the cable with cable ties. Position of cable ties. Okay, they still use this little cover, it seems so. Still using this little cover. So let's figure out how this works. So we have this plastic cover here. Is this coming up on after the fact? Yeah. So it seems that we first use the zip ties to fix the cable, and then we are, is this actually true? Did they maybe change that? I'm not sure. In the manual it says C, install the extruder cable cover and first connect filament detection, secure it with cable ties. Interesting enough. I want to understand where we do this. Where is the cable ties going? Fixing position of cable ties. So as far as I've seen, when we push this over, there's not so much space anymore for cable ties, honestly. But maybe we can use cable ties and then push this cover over. That's at least what I understand here. So I'm gonna use cable tie and get from the bottom up, back into the slot and down out to the bottom, and then we're gonna first secure this. So it's not going to move anymore. And as a second step, we're going to push this cover over, as far as I understand. And that should be Gucci. Okay. Looks good. Not going to come off, and the cable is secured. Let's make this a bit more tight and cut off. And we are done. So that was this step. We also want to push the cable into this little bracket here on the side, so it's held in place. Now the tool head should be free to move. So enough slack to move the tool head to each end, especially on the far end. Next up, motor cables on both sides. So we have one motor cable here, and we have one little plug here that's also on the same cable. That's probably gonna be connected to something. Question is what? Connect the limit switch. So there's some limit switch. I'm not sure where the cable is. Here we are. There's a little plug coming out of this. That's actually taped to the motor, so we're going to connect these two together. First thing, let's make orientation right. Okay, so it's a very tiny plug. That's for some kind of limit, probably a Z limit. So this is the small one, and then we have a bigger cable plug that goes into the motor. Here we go. Same on the other end, except there's only one plug. Goes into the other motor. And anything else? I think one thing is that was not, is it mentioned actually? Interesting. Yeah, one thing that was not explicitly mentioned, interesting enough in the manual, it wasn't really written that we need to use this PTFE tube here and put it into the hot end or the tool head, and the other end needs to go here into the filament sensor. That wasn't. It was like it's somewhat. I think it's missing, honestly. I don't see it, but I'm double checking. I don't see a specific. I don't see a specific section that mentions that we need to do the PTFE tube here, but it's logical. Of course, you should have it there. On the other hand, we have a short PTFE, a very short PTFE actually, that is supposed to go here. It's where we're gonna load the filament in. However, I'm not sure about the spool holder here. So we'll see on which side do we want the spool, right? Do we want the spool here on this side, more towards the back, or do we want it to the front? Because if we have it here on the back, it's gonna like, we have this cable here. We're gonna see this. If this is a compromise somewhat again. But on the picture it says the spool holder is going to be pointing backwards, so we're gonna have the spool towards the back of the printer and not to the front. So I'm curious. Then we have also this kind of anti-tangling protection piece here. Looks like that this part here is actually this anti-tangle protector. Never seen this before, honestly. Arrange the filament as shown in the picture and install the anti-tangle material rack. So let's find suitable color to print. Probably we're going to use, what are we going to use? We can use Creality's filament, or we can use our ESUN. Probably wanna, like the ESUN, I mean ESUN is probably not in their list of profiles, so maybe better if we use the Creality filament for now, the Hyper PLA. So we start with that, and then we might eventually try out other materials. Still, we have these kind of little clamps here, and I'm wondering, they seem to be clipping onto some part. Maybe this is to be, yeah, this is also not really mentioned. As far as I understand this should be used to clip onto this cable, if I'm not wrong, to better align or hold the TFE tube and this cable into a closer position. So we could feed this through here. And again, this is not in the manual, so this is my personal interpretation of this PTFE tube, the way how this is probably holding stuff in place. Again, but it makes sense. It makes sense, but it's, again, I think this is not mentioned. No, they didn't put this. This is probably some afterthought, some changes that they made. So finally, we're gonna have this filament spool mount here. And then we have this tangle protection thing. I guess the way how it works is it will push this little flat bracket, or how do you call this bracket? This basically just a flat side with a little spring. It's gonna push against the filament, so it is not coming. It's not coming off the filament. It's not gonna jump off the spool. That's a nice idea. Yeah, definitely. So let's try to get this into the correct position. Guess we want, I'm not sure if we wanted to put it on first. what do we start with? We put the spool on. We want to have the filament coming from the bottom, I guess. Bottom, and then it's gonna unspool in this direction. However, the anti-tangle protection we can put it from the back. Okay, so we can just put a slide over, and that's going to be here. So is it touching the? Yeah, it's supposed to actually sit on the table and support this whole thing. But this filament spool is already so empty that it doesn't even touch it anymore. So probably if we have a full spool of filament, or really like very narrow to the borders, then this might be useful. Otherwise, currently it's not having any touch, any point of contact with this untangling protection. So I'm pushing through the filament until we hit some point of resistance in the tool head. Back to the manual. Yes, we did mount the spool holder. We cut the filament, and oh yeah, finally here we have, I think I found the place where they are mentioning the connection of the Teflon tube, but that's a little confusing, honestly. If I'm not, like, if you would read this, this is definitely a very dense drawing with so many highlights here that I think this would deserve a bigger picture. Honestly, this is very small. And again, also the writing is very small. So if you need glasses, it's definitely a good idea to use glasses if you need them. But this is just these little circles here and highlighting these little holder pieces for the PTFE. That's so tiny. I mean, that's yeah, it's just for my taste, it's a little bit too difficult to see. But again, probably just me. So we have lock the dip switch. What's the dip switch? Dip switch is, okay, I see. So we have this little we have a switch here, or it's just a lever. You can't see this from this position. Probably from this position, it's at least you can guess. There's this little switch here, which is essentially just for opening and closing the gears of the extruder. So if we push that over, we should we? Yeah, this means we could theoretically push the filament further in. The gears shouldn't grab it. And once you push this lever over, the filament should be grabbed. But you can also just use the motor, honestly, as far as I know. Good. Then we are at a point. Did it mention that we can switch on the power at some point? At least it says connect the power cable. And where does it say switch on the printer? Did it? Okay, we are supposed to heat up the nozzle temperature here, but okay, that's a very short way to say it. And I'm just trying to find a point where they say turn on the printer, which is not exactly mentioned here, but we can guess. We can guess that we have to turn on the printer now. Let's do it. And let's see what we can see on the display. And I think this is a good way to show it. And then we're gonna hopefully be able to start our first print. This is good. So 3, 2, 1, power on. The thingy is booting up. So rest of the manual is basically just saying print something from the USB stick. We can do that. Of course, we can do something from the USB stick. We have a USB stick here. Where is the USB port? It's here on the right hand side. Okay, so we're going to set up the printer now. And that is also described in the app. So if you wanna, like if you would want to use the app now, or we wanna use the app, of course. We are launching Creality Cloud, and we start to do the language selection. Next is English. We have a privacy policy next. Okay. We're gonna set up the network, which I'm not gonna show you. Just basically just entering your Wi-Fi connection string or Wi-Fi name and password. Essentially, you can select Wi-Fi from a list. Then we have to select the time zone, which is UTC +1 CET time for my case, and then we are supposed to bind this printer. Let me see. It's going to show a QR code on the screen, which we have to scan with the app. So in the app, we're going to go to Workbench, which would show you any device that you have. Currently don't have any device. And I'm going to add a device, hopefully. And after scanning the QR code and thinking, it should add the printer to the app. Probably gonna take a couple more seconds. There's no blue smoke here. So we're gonna name this Creality, or we're gonna name it Ender 3 V3, and that's for now everything that we want to do. Excuse that this is in German, the screen menu is in German, but it basically just says, hey, add this printer. Why is it showing a K? No, here we go. It has the right picture now. And we should be good, right? So next step after connecting to the app, or this is optional. We can do this. We don't have to do this. It's going to do a self-check, which we are going to launch now. Starting with nozzle heating, hotbed heating, heat break fan, so probably this front fan here, mainboard fan, input shaping, auto leveling. So that is going to take a couple of minutes for sure. So we're gonna, let's chat while this is happening. Show us you, we can hack you. No, sorry guys. Vocal bamboo, sorry for. Oh my goodness, we need to ban this person. Can we please ban this person? Block. Yes. Goodbye. Goodbye. Yeah, you did it already? Okay, thank you for that. Great. That's why we have mods, right? I was forgetting about that. Sorry. Thank you very much. Your first action as a moderator is to ban all the spammers. Is it stinking? I don't know. Is there some smoke coming out? At least there is some smell. I'm not so sure if this is a good sign or a bad sign, but maybe it's just a new electronic device smell, the usual electronic device smell that you get. Bang. Okay, so doing some input shaping, obviously. Can you hear that? Okay, so it's trying to figure out the resonances. So don't want to touch this now, don't want to move it, because otherwise this whole procedure is useless. And motorcycle is starting. My goodness, this is actually pretty loud. It's louder than on other printers. The smell of dying electronics. Hopefully this is not going to get up in smokes. So this is going to take a couple more seconds, obviously. Input shaping. So last step will be auto leveling. Like the KE, this printer is supposed to be completely self-reliant in terms of bed leveling and first layer. But let's wait until this noise is over. Is it done? So I need some caffeine. Multicolor printing add-on. Then the question is this going to come to all printers or just specific printers? Honestly, I don't have any information yet. Since I am working with Creality on reviewing printers for this year, most likely we'll get to learn more about it very soon. And as soon as I can talk about it, I will definitely tell you. But honestly, I don't have any info yet. I'm also curious. I'm really curious if this is something for the existing printers. I have all of the three latest printers here now. You have the K1C, the Ender 3 V3 KE, and the Ender 3 V3. And we definitely, I would appreciate if we could just add on something like a multicolor thing to the printer. However, if that is realistic, is to be seen. From the connectivity side of things, there is always a USB port on this printer, so that could be just a USB connection. It seems doable because the clipper is on all of these machines, and oh my goodness. Okay, we're doing the y-axis now. Oh my goodness. Getting better now? You don't say. I think the neighbors are gonna. Are you really? Neighbors really gonna be at your door? I don't know. If you had the window open, for sure. If you're living in a house with multiple flats, probably. Luckily that I am living in a house, in a single family home, and we're in the basement. But still, my wife sometimes tells me they can hear above the basement. They can hear stuff going on in the basement. Our printers that are running in the basement obviously will absolutely be noticeable. I have the Ender 3 Max Neo. I think I was also curious, like Ender 3's Creality was releasing so many printers. So many, like I was chatting with someone lately, I think it was on YouTube comments section, and they have bought the Ender 3 Neo, and I think that printer is already disappeared from the market, right? It was kind of a cheap version, a newer, cheapest version of the Ender 3 for whatever reason that printer existed. And it was just available for a couple of months, if you ask me, and then it's not available. I can't find it nowhere anymore. So it's like, they have released so many Ender 3, SE, KE, Neo, that at some point I didn't understand anymore what the purpose of all of these models is and how long they're going to be existing in the short term. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I think this one is already like, does it have a bigger brother now? I guess so, right? I think it has a bigger brother. Let me check. Actually, let me look it up. So Creality Ender 3 V3 Max or something? No. Does something like the Plus? It is called Plus. Okay, it's called Plus. High-speed printer. 300 by 300 by 350. It's not too expensive. Looking at 3D Jake, which is my favorite shop. But yeah, it looks very similar to the printer that we have here on the table. It's just a little bit bigger. That's it. Obviously, it's not any different from that perspective. Just a bigger print volume, a little more expensive, of course. Neo or Plus. So how much is the Ender 3 V3 here in Germany? So I've shown you Ender 3 V3 Plus 515, the Ender 3 V3. There's the KE, the SE, the V3. Already discounted. Oh my goodness, we are already discounting this printer. So 356 currently. Interesting. So the printer is doing its thing here. From what I've known so far from these printers is that they're doing some kind of nozzle cleaning procedure in the back. So the nozzle is being scraped over the print bed at the very end here, from left to right about 5 centimeters, and slowly moving over the print bed, trying to get rid of everything that is like basically just covering the tip of the nozzle, if there is anything, because the nozzle tip is going to be used for the calibration step that's going to happen in a couple of seconds. It's going to move to probably this front left corner, if there's the same position than the KE. There it's going to touch down and touch this load cell sensor to figure out the exact distance of the nozzle to the bed, and then it's also going to go around and do all of these positions, measuring out the leveling. And that requires, first of all, cleaning the nozzle tip so we don't have anything rest filament, basically just covering even the slightest amount, covering the nozzle tip, because we need it to be completely clean, and then we can figure out the precise distance of the nozzle to the bed. So this is happening now, still moving a bit. They seem to have some rest filament in the nozzle, which is also going to get cleaned away now. And now we do the actual bed leveling and the distance measuring. So this is just the leveling. But I guess we will also do this corner. Yeah, we're gonna go here to the front left corner, which is the load cell sensor. That's gonna figure out first, and then we're going to go around. Maybe this is also going to go back again to this corner into the final thing. And these are just figuring out, is there any tilt for compensation, and then yeah, it's doing I don't know how many points. 1, 2, 3, probably 5 by 5 points mesh. That's going to take a couple more seconds. It is a nice printer. It's actually a nice printer. Is it an entry-level printer still? That's a good question. Like, is it something for, like, it was 356 now. I mean, whether you are in Germany, I think this is including 90% sales tax in Germany, so that means already the tax is included in these 356 euros. Without the tax, I think lots of countries the prices are mentioned without the sales tax. In Germany, it's 19% sales tax, so it's gonna be announced cheaper, but then you have to pay your local tax, the sales tax. But I think 356 including tax isn't too bad if you consider that the next best cheaper model is the Ender 3 V3 KE, which is honestly, the Ender 3 V3 KE is 246, so it's 100 euros cheaper. And you can, I would claim that the Ender 3 V3 KE is also one of the best entry-level printers, but it probably is missing a couple of minor upgrades, minor improvements that the Ender 3 V3 has, like this new frame and the CoreXZ design, which is supposed to be running the printer even faster. However, you could also be fine with the Ender 3 V3 KE. The Ender 3 V3 KE is a slightly smaller build height, so 10 millimeters less, 240 millimeters on the KE, 250 on the V3, but in terms of printing speed, it is going to be the Ender 3 V3 is supposed to be faster, and let's see how this is actually working out. So we have done the calibration, self-check completed, push it back. We have a firmware upgrade. We definitely want to do this because I think optimize built-in Benchy print. They have a firmware upgrade that specifically has one of the items is optimize Benchy printing. Oh my goodness. We want that. Of course, we want that. Give it to me. Come on, I wanna have optimized built-in Benchy printing. We have to do it all again. That's the I know. That's the downside. We're gonna have to do the calibration all over again. But we can continue chatting. We have to measure that in, like, how long, guys, did you measure or did you stopwatch how long it took to assemble the thing? Someone still looking at the clock? So how long did it take? I can also check how long are we streaming. I'm streaming since 1 hour 30 minutes, but I guess subtracting 15 minutes for the chat, so to say. I think we're still, like, we're around about 1 hour into the stream. Maybe we're gonna distract, yeah, maybe minus 10, minus 15, 30 to 45 minutes. Do we have to do anything? Is it doing this? Okay, it's doing it without me touching anything. So 30 to 45 minutes plus software update, another round of calibration, probably around about an hour, right? So you can assume that you get the printer, you have to do at least once a firmware update, and then you're gonna be up and running in about 1 hour, which is not bad. Something very comparable to any previous experiences with newer printers. Recently, I unboxed the Bambu Lab P1S twice, actually bought two, and each of them took me, even though I knew all the steps from the first, it took me also around about an hour with all the firmware upgrades and the calibration and noise cancelling calibration and stuff. And there it's the same, right? You do the initial setup, then you get a firmware upgrade, and then you do all of the calibrations all over again. And what is not, I think it's not nicely solved with Bambu yet, is when you do the first time setup, it doesn't do the noise cancelling. You have to do it after the fact. So it's another step Usually it's actually part of the whole calibration, but it's for some reason they don't do it. After the upgrade, please calibrate. Okay, how do we do this? Input shaping and auto leveling. Yeah. Another noisy section of the stream, unfortunately. But I think it's, I don't know how long it's gonna take this time, but is it gonna be faster or not? I don't think so. It must be, by the way, they have to have, if I'm like, they should probably have the ADXL sensors on the print bed and on the tool head, because these printers require separate sensors, right? If you don't want to move the sensor from one position of the printer to the other, you usually have to have an ADXL, the vibration detector. Basically, you have to have it on the tool head and on the bed. That is one major difference, by the way, between this printer and the KE. The KE does not have the vibration compensation sensor. You can get it. You can get it as a separate add-on, and that is about 20 euros something, maybe less now. So the vibration sensor for the KE is an add-on. You can connect it to the printer via the USB cable, and then you start the calibration, and then you can, like, you have to mount this to the printer somewhere. There is no specific mount point or something that comes out of the box as a clip-on solution where you just put the sensor on the tool head or the print bed. You have to print something. So the noisy section again. Is this chat still working? Yes, chat is still there. I'm just curious. It's quite from your end at the moment. I'm talking too much. So I hope you're doing great. Hope you're enjoying it so far. I'm gonna push forward as fast as we can. Enjoy the bees. By the way, we had a beehive in our garden yesterday, and the bees were coming from somewhere. Suddenly we had the whole sky was filled with bees, 10,000 bees somewhat. They collected, like they gathered in some branch of some tree in the garden, and then the day after they started to move on to, I know, a new position, a new beehive. But it was a weird experience. Like, that was so noisy. That was really like jet engines. I was a little bit concerned. And then we had a couple of bees in the house because they found some ways in. I don't know. That was very new to me. Never seen this. They behave. You know, they behaved. They behaved. Seems so. They were friendly. No one got stinged. What is happening? Screen is black. Why? Oh, still doing something. Oh yeah, it's doing the Y-axis. See, print bed is shaking now. Gonna hear that in a second. It's gonna be louder. There's like a tractor starting. It's so funny. Is this really necessary? I think the calibration is gonna help reduce artifacts on the print surface, but on the KE, I did not yet actually do the calibration with the sensor that I got. So far I have nice results. So we're still waiting for this vibration compensation calibration to complete. I'm almost there, and we're going to go into the nozzle leveling, distance measuring in probably a minute or so. The bed leveling and first layer calibration. And then we're off to start the first sprint. What do we do? By the way, guys, we wanted to, I want to encourage you. How much play is there on the linear rods on the bed? I'm gonna figure out if you want to. The thing is, we probably will print some kind of test print from the SD card or the USB stick. Probably they're gonna be a Benchy or something, but I mean we have been here for a while, right? We know each other. We know some people here that prefer hammers over Benchies. So what I would like to have, we should have some kind of test sprint in the shape of a hammer that also like can show at least some of the problems or the artifacts that might appear, or the printing outcomes that you're looking for if you want to verify like overhanging, stringing, what else? First layer adhesion, of course. So all of these things that, thank you Sigmar for following on Twitch. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Sigmar Pre. Thank you for following on Twitch. So we want to have some kind of hammer. I think it would be nice if we had a hammer STL file that can show a lot of these printing quality issues that we normally get to see if we print a Benchy. Just an idea, right? So that would be awesome. So we can do a little contest, right? Who comes up with the best hammer? I mean, you're gonna define some. Should we do that? Should we get a contest and do a contest, and the best submission gets to win something? Just an idea. Hey Sigma Pre, what's up? First time chat. Last time we had also had some first time subscribers on Twitch, which was awesome to see that people use their Prime, membership. Basically, the benefits that you get if you are an Amazon Prime member. You can also have one subscription per month for free to some Twitch creator, and some people use that already. I totally appreciate that to support the channel, basically for free because you're already a Prime member. Great. Yeah, that was you and Turu Carmen. So thank you very much for that. I think so, at least. Hopefully I'm not wrong. Yeah? I'm gonna check back to Porphyrius. No, it was Porphyrius and Xylian. It was Porphyrius and Xylian. I think I was misunderstanding the chat. So thank you again for that. So that's easy if you have a Prime membership. Again, we're in these last stages of calibrating the bed leveling for this printer. We're most likely going to print a Benchy now, which is supposed to be on the USB drive. And again, maybe want to open up some kind of some kind of contest for the best hammer test print. How should we call it? Printer stress test hammer. And I'll think about it. I'll think about some kind of cool giveaway that I will give to the person who's going to be submitting the best. And we're going to vote all, right? So don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be the one to decide this. I will have you all vote about the best stress test hammer Benchy. Yeah. I think we should do this. This sounds like an idea that we should definitely follow up. Are we getting this done? Do not touch the printer. Yeah, but I want to touch the printer. I'm gonna touch the printer anyhow. Any more plans to do some testing with the V100? Absolutely yes. I have actually just made one decision because in the past I was talking about the screen issues I had on the printer. Where is my touch screen that I was just removing? I think I put it somewhere. I don't know, I forget about it. So I removed the HDMI, I removed the SPI 3.5 screen from the V100 for the reason that it was not working as I wanted it to be. It was like kind of creating some ghost touching, stopped the print somewhere in the middle, then stopped working all over the like random occasions, and so I wasn't really happy. So I decided that I would go with where is it? Like I have these basically just the good old 128/64 screen with a turning knob. It's called the Mini from is it from Feistek? And so it's basically just a good old 128/64 screen with a turning knob. And I've got myself this nice Feistek add-on, which is interesting. It has these two connectors, the EXP connectors. So you can use any old 128/64 screen on your printer and turn it into a clipper screen with this little add-on. It's $10 from, is it from Feistek? Yeah, it's from Feistek. So this little mini 128/64 adapter basically is flashed with Clipper firmware, and then you can use any old 128/64 screen on your Clipper printer, and that's what I'm gonna do on the V100, right? And then I'm gonna do more testing on the V100 for sure. Figured out some issues with the calibration. Still want to do some definitely some vibration compensation testing on this printer. And then since we have built the Voron, right, we've built the Voron Zero, we're gonna compare some performance between these two printers, print speed, quality, extrusion ratios, and what else did I want to do? I think I also wanted to compare it with the, which is not totally fair, but I wanted to compare the three small printers that I have there, the V0, the V100, and also the Prusa Mini, just to do a kind of a comparison a little bit. Nothing serious, honestly, nothing into depth, but like just from a perspective of performance, price, and stuff. I'm gonna think about it. This is just an idea that I have, that I want to like maybe do some kind of comparison between these small size 3D printers and what you can expect, how expensive they are, and who they are for, and stuff like that. So I'm still collecting some data for that. My Big Tree Tech TFT35 is not responsive at all. I'm going to use an old phone or tablet instead on my V100. Makes sense. You can totally leave the screen out. The original design didn't have a screen. And I think we're done now. We should just have one last in the middle, and we should be done. Are we? Does it show anything here? It would be nice if we had some kind of acoustic confirmation, some kind of beeping or something. So let's see. We have screen brightness. Probably want to turn this up to the maximum for the video purpose. Camera is not yet connected. Self-check we don't need. We can now load the filament. So the steps of loading the filament are pretty simple. You have this extrude retract menu. And you basically just state nozzle temperature for loading the filament. 220 degrees is fine, and we're gonna extrude. And what's happening is simply it's gonna heat up, and the only thing that you need to do, that's the same with the KE and also the K1C, is simply slightly pushing the filament at the very end. So pushing it into the tube once the nozzle is heated up. and so the extruder can grab it. The rest is going to happen on its own. Only problem is maybe the position of the tool head. I don't like that. Unknown exception. Oh, nice. We get a first error. Should we maybe... I don't want the tool head to be here. Maybe we want to do a homing. Usually I don't like it when the tool head is so close to the bed and we want to load the filament. Maybe we find a better position. I wish that like, this is something that you can definitely change in Clipper. That's the freedom that we get with Clipper, is this is a better position to load the filament, honestly. This is still doing something. It still says it's extruding. Is it? Or is it not? Is it moving? Something not happening? Not really happening? Well, that's surprising. That is surprising. That printer seems to be responsive, but it is still showing some kind of menu that says it's extruding. It's still heated up. What we can do is we can push the filament, unlock. We can unlock the print gears, push the filament in. Does it make sense? But there's nothing happening, right? Honestly, firmware. Okay, let's turn it off. Let's turn it on. Wow, that autofocus, is it going back and forth? I didn't see that. Maybe we should focus on a specific point, because the problem sometimes is if you have, where is it focusing? Okay, so it's better now? I don't know. The thing with the autofocus is sometimes it's like confused because of the, it's not sharp, is it? I'm wondering where it's locking on. Is it locking on something? Not sure. Is it better now? Okay, so thank you. Tech Guy 77 for following. This is Tech Ninja. Okay, I see. So why did we have to restart the printer? Because it was stuck in this extrusion menu. That is one of the reasons why I usually like to install Mainsail OS on the printer, which is definitely easy with the scripts that are available now. And so with Mainsail menu, which is a Clipper UI, basically, that is not the original Creality UI, you can control a lot more details of the printer. Now it seems to be loading the filament. Is it? We should see it coming out of the nozzle in a second, hopefully. Sometimes you need to do this twice, because on the K1C, I think the number, the amount of extrusion is too low. So usually what you see is the old filament, but you don't see the new one. But this is okay, it seems. That's actually more than, yeah, that's better. Definitely a longer extrusion. And the filament color is now completely switched. And for my taste, this is already a little bit too much, actually. So yeah, we probably can find a better number there for extruding. Oh, it's too hot. So that's why like Mainsail OS makes a lot of sense to install for the people that want more control over the scripts that run. Because everything here, filament loading, filament unloading, load cell testing, bed leveling, all of that is scripted in Clipper. And you can, if you have access to the Clipper scripts, which is possible through some open source tool that will open up the printer, basically just getting root access, and then you install this tool. You can get access to all of these scripts and change them to your needs, right? If you want the printer to behave differently, For example, if you want to do an homing before you load or unload the filament, or you want to move the nozzle into a specific position for loading the filament, or I don't know, changing some other behaviors of these default scripts, you can do that in Clipper without any firmware upgrades or anything. And you can basically just change text files to do that and add scripts that don't exist yet. So to do some kind of custom stuff that you want to do with the printers. That's a nice part about Clipper, that it's super customizable without any actual firmware changes. And you can revert those changes just by switching the text files to their original version, and that's it, right? So it's super easy. No, there's no contest on Twitch today, but you can basically collect nozzles, as we call the loyalty points. We can just watch the stream, collect these nozzles, and you can see how many you have by entering nozzles, exclamation mark nozzles on Twitch. You will see how many you have, and then you can decide when we do the giveaway, which is going to be, this time it's going to be on the 22nd of May. We're going to give away an Atom Stack 5 Pro laser engraving machine. You can also ask for information about the giveaway saying exclamation mark giveaway on Twitch, and it will tell you the URL where you can find all of the information about the giveaway, right? So it's going to be shown in the response chat. Super easy. And I forgot about the moderators again. Thank you for stepping in. So you can figure out if you want that. If you don't want that, you can also just wait and keep the nozzles and watch longer over the couple of weeks, and then enter into the next giveaway and next time. Great. Let's not waste more time here. Let's get the USB stick in. Here is the slot. Which orientation? We get a message here, USB flash drive inserted. We can confirm that and figure out what is on this stick. On the local file, we find, and there's a couple of different tabs here. There's one for USB drive, and there's one for local. Local means everything that has been already printed will get loaded to the local storage. Basically, everything that you print from the USB drive will first be copied over to the local storage, and then it's going to be printed from the local storage, and it's going to appear in this list here. Now, what we have here is a Benchy with 13 minutes. It's very small. You can't see that. Probably you can't read this. But it's like 13 minutes supposed to be the Benchy, and we have a USB drive Benchy that's also with 13 minutes. So, however, I think since they mentioned specifically that they have a firmware upgrade, or they did a firmware upgrade that is supposed to optimize the 3D Benchy printing, we should probably use the one that is currently on the printer and not on the USB drive, right? We can also pop out this drive and then, no, we don't want to print that. So we want to print this Benchy. It is going to be 13 minutes with Hyper PLA. We have the Hyper PLA loaded in, so we should be good in terms of filament calibration for the print. Should be the right filament to use, and we don't need to do another calibration. This is always something that the printer is asking you. If you print something here from the screen, it's going to ask you calibration. What does it mean? Essentially just doing another round of bed leveling, and I usually skip that because honestly I only do that maybe once a month, or when I clean the print surface, take it off, or I realize it maybe it's misaligned or something, then I'm probably at some point going to do the calibration again, but not every single time. 13 minutes, not 30, not 30, but 13 minutes is what is written here on the screen. So 13 minutes for the Benchy print. I'm curious if this is actually true. So maybe you want to use the stopwatch in parallel. It's not I'm not trusting Creality to write a correct number here, but I think it's probably better if we go and run the stopwatch ourselves to figure out, is this actually 13 minutes? So stopwatch. This was the last time when we did a Voron V0 time, so comparable time from the Voron V0 here from the last stream, and we didn't even go to the very limits yet. We have some settings that are still untested. 14 minutes 21. Let's go and start this print. Interesting homing mechanism. That's really curious. That's really strange because it's going up and down so fast. It's very unusual. But this is the CoreXZ mechanism, right? So this moves the print head in a completely different fashion, and especially the X and Y direction is going to be much more powerful because the two motors are driving the print head left and right. However, the print bed itself is not driven by two motors. It's just one, as on the previous model, the KE. So that is not more powerful here, and maybe they have set different acceleration values for these two axes. My guess is that it makes most sense to have higher acceleration values on the tool head axis than with the print bed. And still you could get a much faster printer even if you have these kind of two different levels of settings. It's not speed benchy rules, for sure, but let's see what kind of visual output we get, right? We did see the, I mean, honestly, with the V0 build, let me get the benchy out here. Where did I put it? There's this one here. I have two benchies here from the last test with the V0, just figuring out. This was the last, with a little bit more stringing. So this is the last benchy from the V0, just for the comparison, right? So this is what we got in 14 minutes from the V0 with speed benchy rules: 0.25 millimeters layer height, 10% infill, two external layers, and 3 bottom, 3 top layers, and 0.5 millimeter line width. So all of the settings are supposed to be in the rules. And we can try to apply the same rules from Creality Slicer. That's actually a good point. We're gonna go. In the meanwhile, I will prepare Creality Slicer, or Creality Print, as it's called now, to do this. And we need to stopwatch once the printer is actually starting to print. I don't know when this is exactly going to happen. It's still leveling. It still has to heat up the nozzle. Still not ready. And it's probably also doing this load cell test here. Come on, stay awake. Can we switch off this sleep screen off? No setting. Okay, so we're not going to turn off the screen. And we are extruding this purge line, starting any moment. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to see how fast it is. Printing now, and in the meanwhile, I am in the Creality Slicer, and I will configure the Ender to be added to my to the program, so we can start configuring a benchy print. Hey Fulham, what's going on? How's your evening or your day so far? So, what are the settings now? 0.25, just figuring out my settings here. To shell, top 3, bottom 3. So I guess I found all the settings that need to be changed. Great, great, great. So I've created changes to the print settings, so we can compare that later. What Creality Slicer will do in terms of speed benchy rules versus what they have on the printer, which might be different settings. It is not silent. No, it's not. There's noticeable noise coming from the printer and it's pushing crazy. Pushing like crazy. Interesting enough, the external layer is actually printed quite slow. Slower than what we did yesterday with the, or not, was it? No, it was not yesterday. But in the last stream where we tested out the limits of the V0. So that was, for sure, the external layer was printed faster than this. You see, this exact slower turn was much faster on the V0, but maybe the infill is faster in this. Interesting. Looks faster than the Voron. We're gonna figure out. The thing is with the settings, and also the slicer can make a difference. Slicer, there is, for like some people told me that Cura can create faster speed benches than Orca Slicer for some reason, because there is some settings that are in Cura that doesn't exist in Orca Slicer and vice versa, and or seems to be that Cura is creating more optimized path for the extrusion. But it's just the optimized way to print the benchy without compromising on anything, which could be true. Didn't yet test that. That benchy looks bigger on the Voron. Honestly, the Voron makes the benchy look bigger because the printer is so small, right? So let me not forget to touch the screen at least once here, because it's otherwise shutting off. But honestly, if I look at the quality, I'm already quite convinced that the lower layers of this benchy look already much better than the Vorons, and I have no idea why this is. Maybe better cooling. It can only be cooling, because that's one thing that I figured with the Voron. Honestly, I think the cooling of the mini stealth burner is not the greatest. So that is for sure something that long term, if you have that printer, you might want to change to other fans, something that is more powerful, which I probably is a big compromise on the Voron Mini, on the Voron Zero that makes this less powerful cooling. Here we have much more, like we have actually 2 fans running, one in the back and one in the front, which are blowing a lot more air. So it could be just the cooling is much better optimized, getting the first layers, especially the lower layers, visually much cleaner. Yeah, we should maybe add a side fan. There is some modifications, some add-ons that are adding a side blower fan to the V0 so that it blows, cools down the filament. The hot end, I don't think that we can improve the hot end cooling without significant changes. So that is a little unfortunate. Thank you Off-World Objects for following on Twitch. Thank you very much appreciated. Alexander is here. Hey, good evening. Thanks. Thank you for joining in for this little first test of the Ender 3 V3. Oh, here's that's becoming an insider joke, I guess. The insider joke for Alexander is actually that he was winning. I think he was winning the first giveaway on Twitch this year, and since we had so few people yet joining on Twitch, so we just were growing the audience and we were just doing the first couple of giveaways, that Alexander was winning the first one and I was also winning the second one. And we couldn't really believe it, but there was not many people joining the giveaway. So I think there was 3 or 4 people in the giveaway, and there was like a 1 to 4 chance to win for everyone. So that can happen. But Alexander was kind enough to give the giveaway back, and we gave it to another person, right? So it was like, that's why this is a running gag. Every time he comes, it's gonna be asked. The 220 on another, I think on the Warren I was going higher. It was the same filament though. So yeah, again, I guess same filament, same temperature, a little bit higher temperature maybe on the Warren, but we could try again with a reduced temperature to see if it's different. But it's so significant, honestly. The temperature issues on the Warren is so significant in this first centimeter that I have my doubts that we can majorly improve this just by lowering the temperature 10 degrees. So I guess what we can try is we can add just a temporary blower fan and figure out if that improves anything on the V0. But this looks already quite promising. We are about 10 minutes into the print and we are doing quite well, I would say, and supposed to, as per this menu, we still have only 3 minutes left for printing, and it's hard to believe, but it could be possible. At least the official print time estimation was 13 minutes, and yeah, some kind of blower fan, anything will do. I think the only change that could make sense for the V0, since it's so small, that we use an external hose and replace all of the fans completely, like the blower fans, the cooling fans, replace them completely with an external hose going into a blower fan adapter, and so we blow in air with a compressor or some kind of turbine from the outside, so we can keep the weight of the tool heads, probably reduce it with the step, keep it small, and have still some awesome cooling. But again, and this is a modification I really don't want to do on this printer, because the way how it is at the moment, I like it visually so much that I don't want to make it so overloaded with stuff. We're doing the rooftop. Seems that in some of the regions here we don't have any infill, so that might also be one reason why it's so much faster. Having no infill in certain regions is definitely going to help the print speed. But yeah, let's see how we end up with the timing. We have only 1 minute left. I have my slight doubts that we will make it in 13 minutes complete time. I'm not sure if this is going to happen. Let's see. Let's see. I'm curious. So I can at least guess the compromises here. They are compromising a lot on the infill. So it is probably not according to the speed benchy rules, if I'm honest. This can't be. So I would have my doubts here. So we're doing the chimney. Can we do the chimney in 10 seconds? I'm not sure. Let's see. So we over 13 slightly. We're gonna end up with 13:30 or something. But this chimney will take a couple more seconds. Last few layers. Okay, so 13 minutes, 29. 13 minutes, 30 seconds. I guess that was also the target time that we figured yesterday for the V0. Potential optimized time for the V0. Not bad. Not bad for this benchy print. Quality. Oh, it's super sticky. The surface is super sticky, which is nice. And let's take a closer look. So I'm gonna bring the benchy from the Voron just for a comparison. And so this is the benchy from the Ender 3 V3. Now it is for sure not bad. We don't have stringing. However, we have some slight issues with the cooling. Obviously, we have the same, like, there could be some fundamental thing here with the cooling that is, at least up to this point, very similar to the V0, but not as worse. Like, if you look at this benchy here, this is from the V0, and you see, especially the first centimeter, there is severe cooling problems. And we have a way more exaggerated elephant foot here, and also the layer lines don't look that nice, versus the Ender 3 V3, which produced this result. Now, if this is according to the speed benchy rules or not, this doesn't matter so much. It's just with this kind of print speed, getting this kind of result is definitely showing us, okay, that we have a much better cooling system, for example, and an extrusion system also seems to be working super well. Yeah, some minor visual artifacts here on the front of this print, but the rest seems to be looking actually fairly good. So not too bad. Again, compared, this is the Voron V0 print from last week. If we forget about the lower layers here, everything up here, which doesn't have this, like, the heat creep going up, looks fairly well. However, could also be a little better. And especially the front here is, yeah, significantly impacted by temperature issues or extrusion issues, and we have to figure that out. So for doing nothing, basically doing no manual tweaking, tuning or anything on this printer, I think this is already good. It's already good. So we don't need to do anything to optimize this printer for quality, seems like. And that's good. So what did Creality do to print that fast? Is probably doing a lot of compromises with the print settings. So if we look at the Creality slicer software, Creality Print, and I have created a Benchy, a new Benchy project basically, and that is showing us with the settings, 0.25 millimeters is the allowed maximum layer height for the SpeedBenchy rules. We are maximum 0.5 line width. We are layer height is 0.25. That's within the boundaries. 2 wall lines, 3 top and 3 bottom layers. Anything else doesn't matter, right? The infill has to be at 10% though, but anything else is per the default, right? So we are within the rules. We don't need a brim, for example, but yeah, that doesn't change anything. And what do we get in terms of print time prediction for this default, right? This is a default profile for 0.25. There's no speed tuning yet. And there we go with 30 minutes, 30 minutes and 3 seconds. So that's what we would get if we just would use the default profile for 0.25 millimeters with the SpeedBenchy rules. Now, the devil is in the detail, of course. It's probably the quality, not the quality setting, but the speed settings, which are going to make a huge difference. So print speed 200, of course, it's not. Maybe that is good for, maybe that's the limits of the extrusion. But kind of, could be, because we've seen yesterday when we print 200 millimeters per second on the V0, when we are extruding, we are also at the limit of the extrusion flow rate. That means we cannot push more filament through the nozzle at that speed or at a higher speed. We couldn't increase the print speed when we are 100% extrusion. However, we could move faster, of course, if we are just moving the tool head around without extruding, or we are reducing the flow rate. For example, we compromised a lot on the infill to say, okay, the infill speed, we can set the infill speed to 500 on the printer. We are risking under extrusion, or they don't care, right? If we do that, maybe it's going to be already a little bit faster. Not that much actually, which is surprising, but maybe it's not the only setting. So yeah, print speed default is 220, infill, outer wall speed, inner wall speed. We can also higher inner wall speed. You can also say 500. Top surface skin, bottom speed, travel speed, initial layer 100. We could go for 200 for the initial layer just to speed things up even more. Travel speed, and then we can also push. Of course, we can push the acceleration values in the advanced settings, just pushing even higher. So we kind of find, yeah, the acceleration is actually not that bad on this printer. It's 10,000 for most part, 8,000 for most part, 10,000 for some parts. So it's not bad. So like from the V0 perspective already, we're very comparable, right? Travel speed is low. Travel speed was, where was it? Speed. Travel speed, 500. Yeah, we could probably go higher. I don't know if it's realistic to do 800, but acceleration, we can figure out. I'm just wondering how they did the settings so they could reach, I don't know what this kind of calculation is. Why is it now longer than before? I don't get this, honestly. I saw this phenomenon yesterday also with the Orca slicer, that some of the settings that are actually supposed to be making the print faster made it longer for some reason. Why did it increase the print time now? We just increased stuff, right? We just pushed stuff and it's longer. That's strange. Yeah, that's yeah. Ain't solved the problem by catching fire before we actually reached it. Two top and bottom infill looks like 5%. That could be for the Creality version of this. But again, I'm wondering why we are like that slow. There might be some other settings hidden somewhere. Honestly, the only way how to really compare this is to not use Creality Print and to use Orca Slicer and then like have a one-to-one comparison with the V0 settings on Orca Slicer and also the settings for the Ender 3 V3. I'm curious to find out, can we actually use this printer already in Orca Slicer? So we can definitely do we want to save these settings? No, I don't. I think I don't want to save the settings. I have saved them to a different profile yesterday. Anyway, we want to go for the printer. Well, let's keep it over there because you can, otherwise you cannot see the stuff because of the chat. So we want to check out the printer list and see whether the latest version of Orca Slicer supports this printer. Just for curiosity, we're gonna go in depth, not tonight, in all of these details, but I am just curious if the open source software world already supports this printer. So let's have a look. Ender 3. Why is there nothing? If there's obviously Ender 3s. Am I V3 maybe? Here we go. So the Ender 3 V3 is not in the list yet. However, I'm pretty sure that we could go with the KE profile and tune that a bit. And I'm sure that it's not going to take long that the Orca Slicer team will figure this out and add the V3 to the list. Because there's so many people doing profiles and committing stuff to this project that it didn't take for long for the KE to appear. It also didn't take long for the K1C to appear. And so I am pretty sure that we will see the V3 very soon here in this list. So we can start using it directly, or we can also use the KE and tune it. So that's probably easy. Anything else that we should cover tonight from your perspective? What do you think? What should we take a look at? Let me know in the chat. Autofocus, autofocus. Why is the autofocus today jumping so much? I have no idea. Need to figure out. It's probably reflections. Trying out a highlighted message, do you? Do you want to try that? I think I've seen it in the chat, but I didn't see it. It's not showing up here in the overlay for interesting. That's not highlighting the thing, but it's definitely working in the Twitch chat. So yeah, I guess we're good for tonight. We did see the printer working. We did do some testing. One of the things that we could try, this is one thing, but I need to catch the camera. We have the Ender 3 V3 has also you can connect a camera, and how it works is, or how you can generally access that stuff is you can go to the IP address of this printer on your network, or you can use the app and you can see a connected camera. Now the problem with the cameras generally that are supported by default is that the printer by default only supports the nebula camera. The nebula camera is the Creality version of a webcam, so it's a very specific webcam. I was initially thinking it should be possible to connect any kind of webcam, but it seems that this is not possible, at least not with the default firmware. And I'm not saying that this is not, we cannot tune it or not make it work. But yeah, this is how the status is. Now what you can do is you can open up the IP address of your printer, and if you do that, you can, let me just remove that chat window for a second. So you can go to this IP address of your printer, and then you will get this Creality print web page. And that will show you some information about the printer status, like for example, the current print, remaining print time, total print time. You can do homing and setting some print speed changes, enabling and switching on and off some LED light is not installed on this printer, honestly. So it's not working, but you could potentially also add an additional light to this printer, which I can figure out if this is actually possible. And then we have like some fan controls. You have all of the previous printed files here, and temperature and monitoring. And monitoring is currently not working because we don't have a camera connected. And again, if you would use something like this, I was trying this, and last time, at least last time, maybe it could be working. I had this cheap Microsoft HD 3000 camera, which is a very cheap webcam. I just had it and was thinking, it should be working theoretically. It is also, at least the blue light, it was briefly showing, lighting up, but honestly, I wasn't successful. Maybe if we try and turn off the printer and reboot the printer, maybe they fixed this, or they just insisted that it's not going to be supported and we need to buy the Nebula camera, which is absolutely possible, and we cannot change so much about it. The only way how to fix this is probably installing the custom scripts that I was talking about to basically install additional software, additional drivers and stuff. That is possible because there is the script can basically install any Linux software now, which is really a huge game changer. And I will definitely give it a try, but I just want to figure out if this simple, cheap webcam will work once we reload this page and the printer has rebooted. But it seems not to be the case. And we can give it a try with the Nebula camera still to figure out if this is working. However, I need to fetch it from the workshop. So give me a couple of seconds and I will get this camera. So the camera. So this is the Nebula camera. That's how it looks like. It's, from a price perspective, it is very comparable to other webcams. Not, I wouldn't say it's expensive. However, I'm not so happy that, being this is a USB camera, a very much default, very simple USB camera, that we don't have any chance by default to use a normal web camera. But yeah, so let's connect this to a USB cable, to use USB port, and let's figure out if just connecting works already or if we have to turn off the printer one more time. So I've just put it into the USB plug on the side of the printer. That's how it works normally, hopefully. And let's refresh, and it works. So weird aspect ratio. Why? I don't fully get it. Has it to do with the screen. That could be, let's restart the printer one more time. That could be fixed by restarting. Let's see. Theoretically. Or not. We can figure out. But again, you see this is simply working, and the other cam that I had did not work. I tried multiple cameras. C920, which is another very popular camera. The what was it? Another Logitech camera I used. So tried three webcams, and none of the webcams worked. Only the Nebula camera did work. So that is a little bit of a downer. Here again, the aspect ratio of this web view is not ideal, I would say, but the camera seems to be working, so we can at least see what is going on. Same should be true for the app. Where's my phone? I have it here. My phone is still on the mount, so we can try out what we see in the Creality Prints app. That should be showing us something similar. However, I'm not sure if it's going to show us the better aspect ratio. Let's see, camera. Can we probably need to quit the app. So I'm going to try to show it to you, whether we can see that on the app screen. Blah blah blah. It's come on, show it to me. I'm sure that this is the button. And let's see if it's showing us anything. We can also switch to panorama, maybe. Can we? That is taking a while. That was also the same phenomenon on the KE and the K1C. The first time is always taking quite long. Sometimes it's actually not working and you have to retry. So it's, why is that? Because we are not connecting to the local network here. We are going through the cloud, and also the camera image goes to the cloud first and then is downloaded to the app. So we're basically always going through the cloud, and that cloud service, yeah, I don't know how it's scaling, or if it's kind of capacity limits at some point, if it has limits in that regard. Sometimes it can take very long to connect. That's why also another reason why I do like the Mainsail add-on, because with Mainsail add-on I can use another app to connect to my printers, which is Moonraker. Or is it a Moonraker? How is it called? Yeah, it's Mobile Raker. So I can use Mobile Raker to connect to my Clippers printers versus using Creality Cloud, which now seems to be crashing. Sorry. Not launching. Why is it not launching? So you see, the app still seems to have some issues. The cloud is not super reliable. Now this is blinking, so we could get something in a second. At least it now trying to connect. This didn't blink here, this little red button here, this little red dot. And that was the indication for me, okay, it is trying, and it took me a couple of times to do this on the KE, at least, until we got something showing up, right? So it's like not the most reliable thing, and I wish that would be better. Definitely wish this would be better. Let's see. We're gonna give it a couple more seconds to wait, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Then we need to take that as a no from Creality. And we're gonna take the excuses later. Blame Microsoft. I don't think that this is a Microsoft topic. Honestly, this is probably more like, no, it's not working. It's probably more like an engineering problem to fix connectivity. And it's not an easy topic, right? It's not trivial, honestly. If you have data streams, I mean, just pure API that's going too deep, but it's I can tell you from my personal experience as a developer and cloud engineer that these kind of things aren't trivial, and especially if you have to scale to millions of people using the service, that's where it's going to be critically that's going to be where it's going to be critical that you have a good architecture in place that can support going from one user to millions of users and back to one user without any huge impact, and not paying always for the million users. You also want to pay for the actual current users and scaling that flexibly. So that are the challenges for the architecture, and it could be that they didn't fix or find out the best solution yet for this. It's absolutely possible. Good. That's why mainsail, honestly, mainsail is the way to go. I'm not going to show it tonight. It's going too much to the detail. I can post the link to this in the chat. Let me do that. So you have, for now, you have it in the Twitch chat. Or in the basically all the YouTube chat. This is the link to the scripts that will make it possible to install mainsail and other things to the Creality, the KE, the K1C, this printer here, and I think also the K1 series. So every single printer that is now running Clipper for Creality, you can use the script from GUIs to install add-ons like mainsail or Fluid, which is another GUI for Clipper, and you can customize the printer much further, and you can also then use a different app like Mobile Raker on your phone in your local network without the cloud, which is also much appreciated. The way I'm doing is I'm actually running Mobile Raker and I'm using a VPN to my private network, which works very much flawlessly. And that is my solution without the cloud, right? So without Creality's cloud. Makes more sense to me and is working as like much reliable as you want it, and gives you all of the flexibility and all the access and customizability that you want for scripts and any other thing that you might want to use. Also printing from Orca Slicer remotely is supported then, because then you have Mobile Raker, or you have mainsail, and also the API is available, so you can use Orca Slicer to monitor, for example, the prints. That's definitely for me that is a no-brainer, and it's super easy to install. It's really just a very simple script, and you just launch it from the printer. Super easy. Connecting to the printer, of course, is necessary with SSH and with a terminal, but that's also in the wiki of this GitHub repo, and it was very, very simple, honestly. So anyone can do it. Except when a Pi is losing wireless LAN, that was fixed. I know that, but I fixed it because it was going to power saving mode, and since ever then, it was fixed. Okay, thank you so much. I guess we're very much at the end. I don't have much more to do here and to say. Again, if you are interested to get an Ender 3 V3, I'm putting links to this printer to my favorite shops in the video description down below when the stream is done. And we will definitely do some testing now to this printer. We're going to do all kinds of different tests, also doing the installation of mainsail OS on this printer to figure out a couple of customizations that I want to do. Posting the results on Instagram and also here on YouTube. And then we'll probably talk about this printer in a close future video to talk about my personal findings and my print results over a couple more weeks, which is giving us a more realistic point of view of what we can expect from this printer and how it's really different, and is it actually going to be so much more worth it over something like the KE, which is $100 cheaper and has kind of a similar setup, not like, of course not CoreXZ, but you've seen it. It is also like, it doesn't really make such a huge like apparent difference that it's now a CoreXZ setup. We have to figure that out. I think we have to go deeper with pushing this printer to its limits to figure out if that makes a specific difference in any way. Printing faster or printing more precise, better results, whatever that might be. Okay, then I wish you all a good rest of the week. I moved this stream forward to Tuesday, first of all, because the printer arrived, and I also don't have time tomorrow. So most likely we're going to see each other next week, right? That's the latest. Next week, definitely we're going to see each other. If there's if I have time to do any other stream this week, I'm going to announce it in our Discord channel. So don't forget that we have a Discord. There's a channel on the Discord server where I'm always announcing stuff ahead of time, at least at the same day or a couple of days before. Tomorrow there's a public holiday in Germany, so I'm gonna take a day off, relax, and then we'll see if we have time to do another stream by the end of the week, or if we are doing it next week. My calendar is pretty full. Notification Squad absolutely is the channel, and thank you for posting this. Thanks again everyone who is joining, and also people who are subscribing and supporting the channel on Twitch and on YouTube. Very much appreciated. It's tremendously helping me to make these videos happen also for the future.